stage. All right, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. Ham is ready, but I'm a little late, so let's give a second. I apologize. Thank God for football today, so I don't have to be on long. It's the only time. I'm glad for football. Glad you guys all watch football, because I don't. All right, let me see if I. Hey, the one. Let me see if I can get Ham on. Oh, it's one person. Sorry. Thank you. That's great. It's 16 people. Okay, so let's give it a second. Thank you, Sideshow, Scott, Keith. I'll try to stay off of the geopolitical crap. Lucky's input. Lucky had a tough day yesterday. He was flat to the floor. All 4 paws didn't work, but today he's walking around. So looks like I'll get a little more time. All right, for Ham has to watch football, thank God. So he's not going to be on that long. Let me get him. Calling him. We'll see if he comes on. Yeah, I think it'll be a golden era, Lion. I was listening to some frightening numbers about silver, but gold too. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Are you there?
Good. I'm listening about the silver. Go ahead.
Yeah, silver is frightening. We'll talk about it. What
does that mean? What are you saying? Frightening. What do you mean?
What? I don't have the numbers memorized, but they trade. There's 8 banks who suppress the price of silver. It's just like with the stocks. They short. They just sell. They hypothecate and rehypothecate. They sell 3 times the annual supply on some days, and so they'll trade $3 billion worth of silver in a day, and or ounces, 1 billion ounces. There's only 300 ounces available on the exchanges, so it's very similar to the stocks.
J.P. Morgan is always accused of that.
J.P. Morgan, but Bank of America, apparently that's Merrill Lynch, which might be the reason that what's his name is selling his stock. Apparently they're short 1 billion ounces of silver. Bank of Merrill Lynch, Bank of America.
That's why Buffett sold his stock.
Exactly. And what's happening with both gold and silver is the real metal is going to Asia, while the banks are playing around with their, it's the hot shots trading like cowboys. Well, once they move enough and the physical supply can't be matched with demand, the hot shots are in trouble. It's a lot like what's going on with Finger or any other stock. These guys sit at their desks thinking they're God, and they are until it's over. And when it's over, it's going to be huge moves.
It's been going on for so long. It's just amazing, right?
Well, the one guy I was listening to last night, he was saying on silver, as an example, a Tomahawk missile, think how many we launch. The head of the Tomahawk missile, they have 500 ounces of silver in the thing. So as soon as that silver is launched, blows up, it's gone. It's not like gold. We consume it. But anyway, there's demand for silver in war material. Anyway,
I listened to a guy who was a big mining guy a while ago. He was talking about the electric cars and how much copper is needed.
Oh yeah.
It's just enormous. Like I think he said a Mercedes electric car has got 200 pounds of copper in it.
Oh yeah. The copper, what people don't realize either is electric vehicles require a lot of crude oil to build that vehicle. But in the vehicle, tires, for example, there's a lot of crude oil in it. So it's not a magic shifting away from oil and gas or from destroying the planet, but I guess it's better. I don't know.
Well, anyway, let's move it along. I wanted to make it a short call today. I'm watching the Kansas City Cleveland Brown game today, so I have to go to a friend's house.
Boy, I can't believe I'm going to miss that game.
This doesn't mean anything. I'm not a Cleveland Brown. I follow the quarterback. That's it. He's my favorite player, and that's who I follow. And so let's get over with this whole thing. So, guys, DJT. You have the president, who they say is worth $6 billion, and $4 billion of that money is tied to his stake in DJT. So if he's worth $6, $4 of it is hanging in the wind in DJT, and he's the biggest holder in DJT. Devin Nunes is the CEO. He was on the former Intel committee. Then you have the Attorney General. She owns 130,000 shares. Pam Bondi owns of DJT, which is in a filing that she's owned it before. And then you have Akash Patel, the head of the FBI. He's the board of director of DJT. So you have 4 very, very, very big people in the U.S. government and enforcement all involved in DJT. And yesterday, William, Devin Nunes was now promoted. He was offered the position in the Trump. He will lead the Intelligence Advisory Board in Trump's government. Okay, so he's back in D.C. and he will definitely be walking the halls and speaking to people in Congress. And as an investigative person by heart, he knows how to do this stuff. So now we even have more inroads into D.C. I'm doing this 24 years. Pat Byrne said we had nobody on our side. Everybody was captured. No one did anything. All the people behind the scenes were against us everywhere, whether it's the FBI, the DOJ, everybody. No one did anything. Now it's completely reversed. And the one stock that they've done it to is DJT.
Right.
And I can't imagine that we're not going to see the spark fly shortly on what's going on here. Right. And when the spark fly there, we get to go along to the magic carpet ride in FingerMotion. Why? Because we've been reporting the crime for a couple of years now, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A crime that most people don't understand. Still, I don't think people understand it. I think the people like an MULN know they got raped, but they still don't know. CELU, all these stocks, you see them talk about it, but the most important thing is the data on how they're doing it and the numbers. That's the most important thing. And FingerMotion versus DJT is, we know there's a big naked short in DJT. There's algorithms going back and forth. There's big players here like Citadel and Virtue. All these guys are here, James Street. All these characters that have algorithms are all over DJT. I told you before, when the spy orders come in, they sell 8 shares and buy back 2. There's some sort of ratio. Okay.
So why do they do that? So that the guys like us are confused, or is it because their
algorithm is there to create a downtrend or an uptrend.
Right.
So when the order flows come in, if they're short, instead of buying 2 and selling 8, they sell 9 and buy 1
to keep it going down.
And they just keep it trending downwards. That's how they do it.
So why don't they just leave the buyout and let it collapse? You see what I'm asking?
If they leave the buyout, then the stock won't collapse. That's what they do with FingerMotion. We get to see it in real time. How many times have you seen FingerMotion where there's 4,000 for sale and 100 shares on the bid?
Right.
You sell the 100 shares and the bid drops 3 cents. Like it'll go from 195 bid, it'll go down to 191 bid, and 100 shares were sold.
Yeah.
That is what they sell it and they do not buy it back. Tom Gear, I had a vice president of NASDAQ in 2006. I put it up. said that we are concerned that hedge funds are going to register as market makers, and a real market maker is not someone that goes in the box and just sells. That's what we have. We don't have the algorithm trading. We have some market makers that are they just drop their bids and make it look weak all the time. And when the stock looks weak, investors, like people on the phone here, will sit there and say, oh my God, there's another seller and there's no bids. I want to sell my stock, there's no bids. And that's what they do. It's just a head game, to get you to sell.
Right.
And they were working hard when below $2 to try to get the stock to tumble, and it didn't work.
Right.
Because why didn't it work in FingerMotion? Because the fundamentals and the CEO has told us are getting stronger. So these guys are just basically just digging a bigger hole for themselves in this thing.
But what I was trying to get at, why do they have any buys at all? Or the buys are coming from someone else? Why don't they just short it to oblivion all in 1 week, 1 day, 1 week? And I have my reason, I think, but I'm wondering, I don't.
Let me hear your reason.
My reason is they want to. It's like that guy, that joke between the old bull and the young bull at the top of the hill that see all the cows in the valley, and the young bull starts racing down, and the old bull says, "Hey, let's walk. Then we can have them all. We can screw them all instead of just one." And that's what I think it is. They want to get as much profit out of the shorting on the way down. They want to get people buying so they can take real money out of the market over time rather than doing it all at once. They can take.
Right, I agree with that. They want to somehow keep it alive so people buy it.
Yes, exactly.
I agree with that. That's the real naked shorts. The fraudulent naked shorts have a debt spiral convertible attached to it.
Right.
And their game is to sell it as much as possible, get the transaction over as quick as possible, and they try to do that.
Right.
That's a different game. The shorts and DJT are holding it down, maintaining it without getting an eruption to the upside. So they sell 8 shares and buy back 2. So if they buy back 2, they can always take that 2 and throw it back on the 8 again. You understand? So they're selling and buying.
I see.
Wall Street's about pennies. These half a pennies and these pennies just keep adding up. So the more transactions they do, they're thrilled about it because they're just making these half a pennies, whatever they do, all day long.
And they're covering some of their shorts by doing it too.
So when you say to me DJT, and I have the data, it's 2 billion shares. It's 2,100,000 shares.
Sure.
But I can't tell on the algorithm if they bought back 30%, 40%, or 50%. I don't know. So I'm going to be conservative and say they did 50%. So if they sold 2 shares, they bought back 1. That still leaves us with 1 billion shares short. I don't say 2 billion. It's 1 billion is really my gut on that.
And they've got 216,900 shares out. So they've got 220,000 shares outstanding. That's
right.
That's pretty big.
Well, there's a billion shares short. So if you told me President Trump, that everyone says he's a money-hungry animal, well, here's his opportunity just to say, hey, let's force the shorts to squeeze, and I can get all the money my family ever wants forever, just like GameStop did.
Right.
Now, back to the numbers. In FingerMotion, we watch them sell, but we don't see them buy back any. You can watch yourself. You can see it yourself. The only trades, anytime there's a buy, it's always on the bid side or the lower side. So they cross it. They wash it there.
Right.
People aren't hitting the bids. There's no one selling it. We watch it all day long. So when we say 230 million, we really see 230 million shares.
I'm looking at OTC markets. I mean, not for nothing, but it shows the float in FingerMotion at 4 million shares.
Yes, there is no float. It's basically maintained and owned by insiders. People have been posting that for a while.
The outstanding shares are, call it 54 million. Restricted is 27 million. Unrestricted is 16. Held at DTC is 10 million, and the float's 4 million. That's nothing.
The zero. That's why we've been posting that. We've been talking. I've talked about that many times.
And I wasn't listening.
No. I'm just saying that we posted it a lot. That this is a tiny company, and the people that we met at that when they rang the bell that dinner that night, those are the big holders. They're right there.
Right, I met them, except for Lulu.
And there was one gentleman that I noticed, a surgeon, that he owns a lot of stock. His family owns a lot of stock. And I played tennis with the guy, and he's a great guy, and he just buys all the time. He buys 3,000. He just keeps doing it.
Right.
And he told me a long time ago, and he's Chinese. He said that these guys have tremendous connections in China that's unheard of.
Right.
And he had left China, but he knows the Chinese government. This doesn't happen. So he keeps saying the people that are betting against this are going to be wrong. And he's always told me the stock's going to be 100 without a short squeeze. He never really knew much about it. And and this guy understands the dynamics of what they're doing. Over here, people don't want to listen to it. It's all right there. The CEO tells you we're the biggest market in the world. And if you ever been to China, and I have, some of their cities, the ones I've been to, are just so amazing. Everyone's working, they're clean, everybody's moving. I've been to nightclubs, the equivalent of a Studio 54 in Macau, and the Chinese are spending money like we used to do many years ago. I mean, just, they get dressed up, everyone. They're us 30 years ago. Everybody wears suits and ties and gets dressed. I mean, it's just a crazy economy. And there's so many people.
I just want to look at, I was walking down the shops, and I went into this linen store. It's very fancy, Brook Linens or something. And anyway, I asked if they had a catalog I could take. And the woman said, no, we don't have a catalog. We use the website. And the young assistant she had asked her, what's a catalog? You and I are ancient history.
Hey, I know what a catalog is.
I know you do, but the new generation doesn't. So when you talk about Wall Street back when it's not that way anymore.
Yeah, we all worked. We went out. We went to dinner. We did this. Now there's no one in Manhattan. It's empty, as far as I know. I mean, everybody that I know that plays moved to Palm Beach or Miami.
Yeah.
Or they're working at it at homes, out in Long Island or here, wherever they are. There's no one in the city anymore. The town is a ghost town. I mean, people think that it's just bustling and people are in their office. There's no one around. And I remember when I came down to see you in D.C., William, the taxi driver said, no one's in the buildings. Everyone works from home. There was no one even there.
That's right.
I mean, so, it's a pretty...
And I think Wall Street's poorer for that because there was such a cross-pollination of ideas. The other thing is energy, when you're with people, the competitiveness. Now it's all just managed money. We'll put it with this manager and they'll reinvest. Swell. They might as well be insurance agents.
That's exactly what the whole thing is gone. Anyway, so getting back to this naked short selling issue. Every firm had an over-the-counter trading desk or a trading desk. If it was so profitable, why did they shut it all down? They shut it all down, fired the people, don't need the space, no health insurance, no having to feed people. We never left our desk. We were fed right there like cattle. We never left. And that's all gone. They decided to sell all their order flow, all the brokerage firms, to
Ken Griffin.
Ken Griffin or Virtue, whoever. These guys pay them for their orders.
Right.
And when they get those orders, they just tell the Goldman Sachs who give them the orders, say, hey, what we do with the orders is none of your business. The Goldman Sachs is saying, go ahead, I don't give a shit. We don't care. Whatever Ken Griffin does, or Virtue, or Jane Street, all those characters, whatever they do with those orders, as long as you get an execution, no one cares. If they get in trouble Virtue, Citadel, all these guys. Goldman, more, everybody's selling the order flow is going to say, hey, man, we just sold them our order flow. We got nothing to do with this. So they removed all this liability outside the brokerage firms. If everybody knew the street that these guys were all carrying these massive naked short positions, they would kill those companies. Goldman, they'd be getting the liability be too great. So they passed it to the outside. So if anyone's going to go to zero, it'd be Ken Griffin, but he's not public. Virtue, anything that's public. If you say Bank of America is hiding a bunch, they can get you beat. Jeffries, who knows what they're hiding? I don't believe the big brokerage firms are hiding it for their own accounts. I think it's these guys on the outside. Now, the little thugs, like the Jeff Eastons and the Kramers and all these other guys, Savvy Management, these guys, they're all going to get roasted alive. Low-hanging fruit goes first. The big players, the Virtue and the Citadels are going to they're going to wind them down. And once they can't steal from your order, they won't buy the order flow from Goldman because now they're taking risk. Let's say they're paying a penny. There's no guarantee that when they buy 10,000 or sell short 10,000 shares of some stock, that they're going to be able to make money from it. So they won't take those orders. No one's going to pay for that order flow anymore. If they can't steal it, they're not going to pay for it. So that business will go away slowly. And if anyone who's been around Wall Street for a while, there used to be a business that I had friends that were in it called market timing. Guys were buying mutual funds 2 minutes before the close. They buy $400 or $500 million of a fund because they knew IBM was going to report after the close, and that fund had a big position in IBM. So if IBM gapped open 10 points instead of buying IBM, these guys would buy the fund, and the fund would trend up. So let's say the fund goes up 1% on Monday. They would sell it on Tuesday, and they would lock in 1%. Imagine doing that every day, making 0.5%, 1%. These guys were making, 16, 17% a month, timing the market. But the mutual funds didn't like it because these guys would buy in, and then they would have to sell their business. They buy the stocks, sell the fund. It was getting too complex. The SEC shut it down immediately. Because these things disappear quickly. Back in the day, there used to be a thing called bullets. All the option guys were doing bullets. Stevie Cohen was doing bullets. He actually did business with my friend and made him the biggest option player in the world, my friend. Because that's how much business he was doing. The SEC shut it down. These guys were doing creative ways to create long stock. Before we had an uptick. You couldn't sell a stock short unless you had an uptick.
I know that would be the easiest thing to bring back is the uptick.
Well, they used it. They said the computers can't detect it. They're full of shit. But
because it's so decimalized.
They use that excuse. But unless you had an uptick, you couldn't sell it short. So they used the options. To create a negative position,
a synthetic share,
that the stock would go, so that the stock would go down, right?
Yeah.
But they also created stock and made it a long stock, so they would exercise their options.
Yeah.
And they would buy puts, get the calls, exercise the calls, and now they would be long stock. Because when you exercise an option, a call, you actually get delivery of the stock, right?
Right.
They would have puts and then turn around and sell that stock as a long sale without the uptick rule.
Right.
And they would kill stocks. It would look like they would billions of shares for sale. And the SEC stopped that. It was cold. They were cold.
But they don't stop this.
And they don't stop this.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that they haven't stopped this, but there's been so many things that have been stopped. If you go Google option bullets, maybe I forget if that's what we used to call it, bullets.
So the bullet was that you just sold it or bought a bunch of puts or sold a bunch of calls.
You had the calls, you bought the calls, you bought the puts, you exercised the calls, now you're long stock. You sell the stock at the market, you lose money on the sale as they're going down, but your puts are going through the roof, right?
What stock are you long?
You buy,
did the stock exist when you You know what I mean? Is it real
Yeah,
stock?
no, there is. You can
So
do
to speak.
Yeah, but they make a difference. They did it to all kinds of stocks.
All right.
But they push them down $15.
All right.
Because the selling would never end. Just buy more calls, exercise. Buy more
I never
calls,
knew
exercise.
that. See, we were on the ass end of everything retail. These guys, they knew how to make money.
So my friend would be they would be buying options, They didn't buy 500. They were buying 5,000 calls and puts.
Oh my
Can
gosh.
you imagine making $1, $2 on each option contract? These guys are doing that, 5 times a day.
Just printing money. Just printing money.
Printed money, paid the option brokers a lot of money to do the trades and do the execution. That was a big thing, but they shut it down. So now I look at it, we have 5 super powerful people in the government, and the company they're all attached to is under attack by naked shorts. I'm telling you that I'm hearing that these guys are going to smoke these shorts. Now, I don't know who goes first and what goes, but the low-hanging fruit has to go first. The big boys will get ways to clean up their positions to stop winding that down. They're not going to get bigger. They're going to have to get smaller. And the government will give those guys a chance to sort of wiggle out of it. The small ones, they're just going to get shut down because the people we're dealing with are just all fraud. All right? These other guys are shooting against your orders. I'm sure Ken Griffin's not sitting there saying, hey, let's go to sell program on FingerMotion. He's never even heard of FingerMotion. All right? These stocks are being manipulated by small manipulators like Jeff Easton and his little band of gypsies. Ken Griffin is big. We all know it. Virtue is big, but they will be shut down. Virtue will be worthless because there is no business for him. They can't trade. They just take it short orders. So I do believe that the Trump administration, it's getting closer to January 20th. We want the head of the SEC to speak. I forgot the guy's name, Atkins already. But they're going to want those guys to speak. And you got Devin Nunes making a lot of noise about naked short selling. And, between him, the guy from Rumble, and Dan Bongino, and everything's coming to a head. And I'm pretty sure these guys understand having the small cap market rally and all these market stocks rally from these criminals only puts money in the hands of retail, which will drive any economy. And that's what I think they understand that. And if you look at Robert Shapiro, he used to be in worked for, and he was in the Clinton administration, who Robert Shapiro I met a couple of times. He says it. They're just taking the money from the retail investor, put it back in their pocket, and we will spend it, and it'll drive the economy. So everybody knows that. So I think it's a good way for the Trump administration to get things going again for all of us. And I really do believe this shit's going to hit the fan shortly. And you know what? I was talking with someone last night, and we all pick on the companies. Again, the companies the company's got 4 million shares in the float, really. And yet, every day we have a seller. No one's selling it but these characters. They just continue to do it. It's criminal, and it's hurting the economy. It's hurting retail investors. And these poor companies, whether it's FingerMotion, most of them don't have a clue what's going on. I told you, I met with the CEO of CELU. He's a neurosurgeon in a trauma center. He works on infectious disease. He was the spin-off of Biogen. And when I told him what they were doing, he couldn't believe it. He didn't even understand it. And this guy is brilliant. And he just signed up, took more money from the death spiral guys. The stock went collapsed. And I posted, stay away from it, because I told him if he doesn't, it's going to get killed. It collapsed. He reversed it back up to $8, and the stock is what, $1 now, or 80 cents? I forgot what, $2. It's $2, excuse me. And it's already down, 80% again. They don't know. And you know what? If a company doesn't know, if you're invested in it, you need to make a call to them and wake them up a little bit. It doesn't hurt. You're investing in it. You're in it for a reason. And you know what? I've tried to get the people in MLSS. My friends know the people there. And they said they're working on it. If they're trying to dig into it and making sure. I said, someone's selling the stock. It doesn't look right. So they're looking into it. At least I got someone to look into it. I don't know what they're going to find out, but it's not my job to do it. So I can only advise them as best I can. But I really think the shit's going to hit the fan shortly. We got the company working on things that are going to help us out, whether it's the dividend, new business, things that they're doing. We're hearing that they're expanding to the other countries, and the CEO said that in his videos. So let's see what happens. Again, the companies have to listen to their lawyers. Everything is always based on that. William can tell you that too. It's the same thing. So let's not beat the shit out of companies that are trying to help us. These guys are under the gun, and I asked William, what did he say about his employees? Were they happy, or what was the? I forgot what he said.
He actually said that everyone was really excited. They were happy. But I didn't ask him about, I didn't ask it exactly the way you wanted me to, which I found a negative way of asking it. I've got to remember what I said. Just the morale. He said the morale's good. Investors are positive. I don't remember, though. I didn't rewatch my interview.
I deal with a lot of retail investors, and the mood on our side is either anger.
Well, there is some anger.
They're like, the stock isn't going up. The company's going to do this. The company's. I said, why don't you just call the company up, tell them to put out a fraudulent press release? The stock will go up. They'll go to jail, and we'll be happy. I mean, that's what people want. I said, I can't tell people to do that. Get the hell out of here. You're crazy. But again, the companies have been under attack. Like the guy from MULN, I don't know how much he knew about what was going on, but whoever was funding him, they just took his pants down and robbed him blind. Rivian did the same thing. All these automakers, all these drug makers that need money for the hope of their drug, the criminals take advantage of it. And
I'm looking at CRTD's chart, because they did 2 mergers or something. But I mean, they just got destroyed. That guy said he didn't see any evidence of bad actors in his stock. Well, I wonder what he thinks when he looks. His stock is 50 cents. He did a one for 500 reverse split.
All right. Listen, I was sitting with him when he did the speech at that conference.
I know.
The Disruptive Technology Conference in New York City. And, his speech, if you're watching, obviously he was talking to me, but he was talking a very angry speech about how he worked on RBC and this and that. And, he worked with someone that I knew very well and, very powerful guys. And he was very strong about, fighting naked shorts. And once he got into the fight, the stock went up. As soon as he started negotiating with the crooks, then it went down. We can't do anything about that. I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
But he helped throw some fireballs out there. Maybe he educated a few people. I know he hurt a bunch of people. I can tell you that. I don't guarantee you. But again, we can't stop. Each CEO is different. But you know that the CEOs listen to their lawyers. That's all it's about.
Well, it's all the lawyers, because they got to cover their ass. It's also, I think, lawyers are somehow, Wall Street is somehow, CEO's responsibility is to shareholders. But somehow lawyers have made it about the company, as if the company, if you do it for the company, that's good for shareholders. That's not always true. If you do something just to make the company survive, so officers get their insurance, get their salaries, get etc., that's not always in the benefit of shareholders. And somehow lawyers have separated that.
That's 100% what they do, William. The lawyers turn it that the companies have traded their own shadows.
Right.
The lawyers control these companies.
Yeah.
And that's because the SEC, that they overhang and they basically tell, these companies, the lawyers tell, if you say this, the SEC is coming down on you.
Right.
You can't say anything about naked short selling. You can only, skirt around the issue and say we're going to look into the trading pattern or something stupid like that. That's what they always say. They never come out and say, hey, we did a deal with Lynn Partners. They're total scumbags. This is what the fucking guy said to me. this is what this, that, throw them under the bus. That's what they should be doing. That's what they should be doing. And I'm sure that when the dust settles here and all these things, and the evidence starts to come out exactly what these companies did to these companies, and the conversations between CEOs and the lies that these guys have been telling, it's just, when that comes out, these guys don't belong in jail forever. It's just criminal. And the lawyers that let these guys sign these papers are just as worse. How do you not see that it's a death spot? You know, listen, I spoke to Morgan Lewis a long time ago, and they says, you're telling me the guys that are funding the company are the short sellers? And we had to break it down and show them how this debenture worked, and they couldn't believe it. And the only reason it did happen, William, is because the stock settlement system was broken. And that's the whole thing. If they settled the trades, right, then this whole thing doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's about settlement. I got in a long discussion about that yesterday, and I don't know all the mechanics of the back office. We did it live after you got off, because people think there's real shares out there versus fake shares. It's all digital. And no one can. They should be able to tell the difference, but they intentionally don't tell the difference. But it's just about settlement. It's not really about real versus fake. It's about settlement.
Right. Pat Byrne wanted to get the blockchain stock settlement. That's what I worked on. Is that you want to make sure that everybody who sells it, if William sells 1,000 shares of stock, and 4 people buy 300, 100, everyone who buys it will get the stock changed to their name, so we know exactly the ledger where it's going. Right now, there's stocks that trade, they trade 100,000 shares a day. Also, one day they're trading 40 million shares. Where the hell's that coming from?
Right.
It's impossible.
Right.
Yet no one accounts for it. There's not one fail to deliver. When a stock's got 5 million shares in the float and trades 50 million, what, did everybody sell it the same day 5 times over? It's got to come to an end. There's too much crime. And I wanted to have this call because I thought, I was hearing that, that Devin Nunes was going to say something. That's why I wanted to do the call today. And I'm being told that they missed their opportunity on Fox. I guess they didn't address it. I don't know. I didn't see it. But I've been hearing that this is coming to a head, and there's going to be a point where Trump is going to speak up about this. There was a group of people down in Mar-a-Lago. They're hearing it also. Other people are hearing it. Let it come out when it comes out. Hopefully it's this week. And these guys are going to be roasted. There's nothing more I can say, but we know everything about it. FingerMotion has an extremely small float. The holders are loyal people from out of this country. We have a lot of good holders in the U.S. We have a lot of big holders that are crypto people that put a lot of money into this company, and they're all standing tall. They're not bending. No one sells. You can see the volume's light. And I put up on Friday, before the stock even started to move, that they were doing a lot of wash trades. When they wash trades back and forth to the sets, it's like me and William. William, I'll sell you 10,000. William sells me back 10,000. I sell it to him the next day. It's like hot potato. Who wants to hold on to it? When they do this fake trading, it throws off all the other numbers that we get to watch. And if you don't calculate the fake trades into all the other things that are happening, you would think that this stock is a 300,000 share day trader. It's not. This stock, I told you, when it's all said and done, it'll be 30 to 50,000 shares tops. There's no float. Who the hell's trading it? These people are here long-term holders. So there is no float. Okay, I just want to go over William before we cut it short. This is a football game. I'm sorry. But when you do sell a stock, remember, get your money off the table. That's number one. Sell small portions as it starts to go. There's no shame in selling. If you got 100,000 shares, okay, and you're nervous about it, let's say you own it at $3, and you're underwater by 60 cents right now, whatever it is. If you want to start getting out of the stock, each day, pick a number. Sell 2 shares a day, 1 share a day. it'll get you out 50 days, whatever it is, until you get rid of all your shares. You know, I used to do that way when I wanted to take a loss on something. Like if I was down 200,000 and something, I would make 10,000 today. I made 10,000 trading something else. It's okay. I still got this loss of 100 here. Let me take out $5,000. I'll lose $5,000 today. I'm going to close out that short. I mean, whatever position is upside down. I made 3,000 in profit. 5,000 I used to get rid of the negative. And now I'm only down 95,000. And I'm still +3 for the day. So I give myself like a little pat on the back that I won today. And I'm reducing my loss a little at a time. Do you understand how the thought process, William, is?
I do.
And this way you feel better about it. And let's say you're doing this and you only got 50,000 shares left of that stock, but that's giving you the loss. All of a sudden it takes off. You are basically now up on that 50,000 shares. You lost $50,000. Let's say you made back 80. So now you're only down 20 in the whole thing. So you turn it around because it's something that you held on a little longer and you started to remove it from your ledger a little at a time. And this is the way I was taught by big players back then. Don't take the loss in 1 second. Work out of it a little at a time. Whatever amount you have to do, you bring down you take the loss a little every day. You don't even realize you're losing. And every day, like 1,000, you say, okay, 200,000 is going to the loss. 200,000 is going to the loss. And I'm going to sell and lose $200 and close that position. And then every once in a while you get lucky and your position turns around and it runs back up. You say, oh, thank God I didn't sell it all. Because how many times have we sold stocks and they turn around and go straight up after we sell them, right? So, I mean, that happens a lot. This weekend I spoke to a good friend in Miami who owns a lot of Finger, and I told him, can you do me a favor, sell it? He goes, why? He says, because I know as soon as you sell it, it's going up. We need to get rid of somebody who's got bad luck. But it's an old joke on Wall Street. But any questions on anything, William, before we start slowing it down here?
You're not talking?
I said, is there any questions does anyone have?
Yeah, Mike wants you to know that the options for 26, the $3 options have 67 cents premium. So you can compare that maybe on the warrants.
So that's the $3 of January 26th. Now,
yeah.
The reason to have options going out that far because the option market makers put that out there. The company doesn't do it. We don't do it. It's the short sellers or the option players that are doing that. They make sure that those things, the options will always be on FingerMotion until 2026. Until they stop adding new option strikes, the options will exist. So when January 26 comes, I'm sure you're going to see January 25 comes, you're going to see the August 2026 calls go up. 10 of them will trade. They'll make a market in them. And that assures that the options will always be here. This stock doesn't need options. It's an option itself. Who the hell's putting options on the $2 stock? The only person doing that is the criminals. All right? They're giving us the opportunity to play it, but they're letting us play in a rigged game. But soon the game won't be rigged. And these things are interesting. But that's a 1 year $3 call is 60 cents. Imagine having a 2 year. Well, if 1 year is 60 cents premium, William, what would you expect a 2 year? Give me an idea of price, William. What do you think a 2 year would be?
I mean, there's so little volatility right now. If there's
$1.20, it's easy. $1.20.
All right, $1.20. It's easy.
I'm just saying that if a company gives out a 2 year warrant, what's it going to be worth? No, we just saw a 1 year option worth 60 cents. What it's in 2 years, it's got to be worth $1, $1 plus, right? Because it's 2 years, that's the premium, right? So now if you're short and this thing opens up at $1, you're going to be short 23 million shares. You're going to be down $23 million plus margin money. And that margin money could be one, because let's say those things are worth $1. Those things could be worth the premium, the margin money could be $2 or $3 that a prime broker can demand that they hold. That's another 60. You're talking $70 million out the window for our naked short sellers. The day we get the record date, that's when those guys get really whooped. So it's coming. So we just got to hang in there and wait for it to come out. Let it come out, and let's get the company give us the details on everything, and we'll be okay. That's all we can do. Any other questions?
I'm looking for questions.
That was a good point about the option premium. Thank you.
That was from Mike. I don't see any. Here's a question I'm not going to ask.
I'm going to walk through it quickly, just so we can go about it on Sundays.
All right.
Listen, if you're buying a stock that's in a short squeeze protocol, okay, I'm not going to discuss which ones it is. I'm not going to tell you. But use limits. I described to you, my friend one time put an order in to buy 10,000 shares, or I forgot how many it was, at the market. She was going to buy, the stock was 10, she paid $21 for it. By the time she got the report back from the New York Stock Exchange floor, the stock was already back down 10. She lost $100,000 or $200,000 in a second. So if, let's just make believe a stock is $2.30 and you want to buy some, just don't put a market order in there. You can say, hey, I like to buy 1,000 shares using a $2.70 top. And you would sit there and say, why would I pay 45 cents above it? No, what you're saying is you like to pay, that's the most you would pay, is $2.75. If there is a seller, when you go down to buy it, you could buy it at $2.40, $2.41, $2.45. It doesn't, you'll get filled anywhere up to $2.75. Instead of a market order, you use a limit order above the market. If you wanted to sell a stock, let's say DJT's 35, you say, I want to put a stop loss in there. Instead of doing that, you can wait. If the stock starts dropping, you can say, I like to sell the stock with a 34 low, meaning that the lowest you'll sell it is 34. If the stock's 35, you're anticipating. You think it's going to go lower, you can use the 34 low. Again, you may sell it at 34.60. You may sell it at 35.10. I don't know. But you use a limit, never a market order. Because imagine if the stock starts falling, and you may see the stock drop real quick, and you got a market order in. They're going to take it down to $10 and get you out down there. If the stock is falling apart. So just be careful with market orders, especially in names that are very volatile. FingerMotion has not been volatile yet. I expect that to happen soon. And you can see what happens with volatility. The difference between the DJT and a FingerMotion, the volatility of FingerMotion is going to be like a SpaceX rocket versus up and down. Up and down is very different. The shorts in DJT are trying to cover. You see them spike it up, let it drop fast, spike it up, let it drop fast. That's how shorts cover. In a FingerMotion, we only have one idiot short, and once this prime broker calls him in, the prime broker just says buy. Buy until we don't have any more shares that we have to buy back. That's how they work. It's very different buy-ins. Right now, DJT, you're seeing a controlled buy-in by shorts that is still wiggling around, that are still alive. That tells me that they're big boys here. But again, once they do fold, you'll see, once someone's folding, stocks have a completely different look. When they buy them in, it just rockets. Like DRUG went from 2 to 79 in 1 day or 2 days. That's a short seller being called in to buy at the market, just buy it in. Right now you see DJT, spike it up, spike it down, spike it up, spike it down. And that's why I say buy the dip, sell the rips, because that is a controlled buy-in. The shorts still are in control, but they're trying to cover. In FingerMotion, when they fold, the shorts are out of the position, out of control, and the prime broker just says, buy it, give it a cigarette, and execute it. That's it. Kill it. Buy. If you're buying 10 million shares, buy 10 million shares, and the broker will say, what's the limit? There is no limit. Just buy 10 million shares, or buy 200 million shares, whatever the number is. Just go buy it, and that's the prime broker protecting themselves. Everyone will be running to cover, protecting themselves. And when that order hits the floor, you're going to see a bunch of big hedge funds front running, because those guys who have those orders love to tell their friends to front run. In case the SEC is listening, they all do it. That's what they did in GameStop. They were all front running, Merlin Capital and those other people trying to cover. And people knew those orders were around, and they just got trampled. That's how it works. All right, everybody. I'm excited about what's coming up. We're right in our zone. CEO said mid-December. We're right in mid-December. Let's let the company do what they have to do, and we'll all be very happy. And I'm glad the president, the attorney general, the head of the FBI, Devin Nunes, now on the Intel committee, the president, all on our side. And the best part about the whole thing, William, was that Citadel was nice enough to call Devin Nunes a loser. Out loud, he made fun of him, and I think that payback is going to be a bitch, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
And Christian Shaughnessy put up a great post. Go to Twitter; it's the post of the year. She put all the Devin Nunes stuff right there with Citadel. It's a great read. Go to her site; it's right there on Twitter. You can read it. It's great. I sent it around to 500 people last night, and everyone's super excited about it. And like I said, use limits. Be careful. Don't worry about volatility. Hey, I'll give you my opinion on this, and I'll let it go. Let's say FingerMotion opens tomorrow at 350, and you want to buy some. The way to buy it would be to buy, if you're buying 1,000 shares, you buy 250 shares at 350, let's say. If the shorts try to knock it down, you could buy 250 at 3 1/4, 250 at 275, 250 at 2.5. You could buy as it pulls back. If you buy 250, let's say at 350, and you say, I wanted more. Well, you know what? 250 is not everything you wanted, but if it takes off from there, at least you own 25% of what you wanted to buy. And that's the way I used to cover or used to buy stocks for big players. The first thing I did was buy 20, 25%. If I had $1 million to buy, I bought 250 immediately. I knew it would disrupt the market or knock it down, but I had to make sure I got 25% of it done. Because if the stock made a move and I didn't get anything done, I would be scolded forever. So we came up with a formula, and that was the best way to do it. Whether it was 20%, 10%, whatever the number it is, we used to always make sure that we got our bet down something. Because if the stock took off and you did nothing, you would get, you'd just get ripped a new asshole. So that's the way I would play those type of things. All right, William, I'm going to go watch my game. Hopefully my quarterback does well. And I'm excited about this week. The next week or two, whatever's going to happen is going to be, I believe it's going to be good for us.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Nostrand, sorry, he told me that he wanted to watch his football, so I didn't ask your question. Well, we can ask that Monday. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow because I have 2 doctor's appointments. But anyway, we can ask it again. I suppose it's possible. I guess it's possible. I don't know how to answer that question really. Let's see. Ham doesn't talk about XRP, so I'm sorry I didn't ask that question, but he just simply does not know anything about it. I like this point of view from Kit. It makes sense to me. Any suggestions on how to go making best of that dividend? I think you guys are making it much more complicated than it really is. The dividend was announced, I think it was March or something like that this year, but it needs SEC approval. So it was put to the SEC for approval. Questions came back. The interview I had with the CEO in June, I believe, he said questions came back to us. We've answered those questions. We have to wait for the SEC's response. And apparently those responses came back okay. But in the meantime, FingerMotion's auditor resigned. At least that's how it was told to me. I haven't read this anywhere, but so they had to get a new auditor. The new auditor had to do 2 years worth of audits, and it's taken months. It's taken months. On the interview I did with Martin a month ago, he said he expected the audit to be complete in the middle of December. Well, that's today, really. So tomorrow, the belief is they're going to be able to announce that the audit is complete. According to Martin in the interview, he thought the SEC would automatically approve the dividend, although he admitted the SEC can always come up with another question, have another roadblock. But all things being equal, they expect approval on the dividend this week. The dividend, it gives you the right for every 10 shares you own to buy or to convert one. It's not convert. You have a right to buy 1 share of FingerMotion at a price that I don't know. I thought it was $7, but people are telling different numbers. So we'll have to wait till it's announced. But it gives you the right, like a call option, to buy the stock at a specific price, a preset price for a defined future period of time. And in this case, it's 2 years. So you have 2 years to exercise your warrant, which gives you the option of buying. Sorry to use that word option. It gives you the opportunity to buy 1 share for every 10 shares you own of FingerMotion now. It's very similar to a call option in that sense. As people have pointed out here, the main difference is the money, instead of being traded on the option exchange and making back and forth profits for whoever's long and short, the money you pay in goes to the company. So it's a new source of capital for the company. Let's say it's 5 million shares. Let's say it is $7 a share. It's 1 year's worth of revenue. It seems like to me it's $35 million right now. But we'll find out when they announce it. I don't know what else you want to know about the dividend. Why it's going to make it squeeze. I'm skeptical. Ham's excited. I'm skeptical that it's going to make it squeeze right away. Why? Because to me, Wall Street will just stick it in your account. And how are you going to know that they can't cover the what do you call it? The exercise of that warrant until the stock goes over 7, and that's down the road. So I think they'll just go ahead and put an entry in your account, and hey, it might be 6 months, might be a year, might be 2 weeks, but they'll just kick the can down the road. That's my opinion. We'll find out. We'll find out. At least it's out there to test the system. China might indirectly support the company, potentially triggering a short squeeze. Yeah, if China's at war with us, maybe you're right. The dividend, does it have a grace period? No, no, you have the right to exercise right away. What I don't know is what I don't know is when you exercise, are your shares free to trade? That'll be in the document. You might convert into restricted shares, but Wickedham's, it should be like other situations. You would exercise in free to trade shares. There's a small chance I'm wrong, but it should be free to trade. What's that response? I don't know, Lion. What's the response? Oh, you're going to put it. Your key indicators to watch include major partnerships, institutional activity, or policy shifts. Wow. So chat, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I could set this up with chat and I could just go somewhere else and you could ask questions to chat. What's this? Apple and Baba. Look, Engorged and Johnny and everybody here, I think the stock to own for the rest of the year, well, let me say it differently. I think sometime between now and the end of the year, you're not going to be able to buy RLAIF under 50 cents US. It trades on the Canadian as RAIL, but on the US it's RLAIF. And I just really think tomorrow, Tuesday, might be the last chance to get it under 50 cents. I still really like Nixie, but that may, it's had a nice run. That may pull back a little bit the way XRP did. I wrote down here, somebody was asking on XRP. I'm not an expert on it, but in terms of trading, it has pulled back. And I would certainly think that if you wanted to build a position, now might be a good time to come in, or maybe it pulls back further like Kit was implying. But on XRP, I agree with Kit with his analysis of the amount of coins out there and that that could keep it soft. On the other hand, I've called around, I've talked to a few people about XRP. Everybody wants to own that. Everybody. So I do think I'm not making any long-term analysis of it or whether it's going to survive or any of that. But I think there's pent-up demand for XRP. Railtown. Yeah, I think Railtown is the one to. Look, I can't give you financial advice, is because I don't know you individually, but I think RLAIF closed, I think, at 38 cents yesterday. I'd be surprised if you ever see it under 40 cents again. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you have time to buy it. I never had Gronk before. How do you feel about DJT for the next weeks? I think DJT is going to go to 55. And I'm not saying it's stopping there, but I think when it breaks out, let me see if I can show you a chart. I mean, not that I know what I'm doing, but let me see. Here's a finger chart. Finger, look at that. That's pretty strong Friday. That was strong upside movement. Let's put is that a 5-year? Let's just do a 1-year chart on Finger. Let me make sure you can see this. You can. All right. Let me go back to that. Now I can't find the page. There it is. All right. Let me show you this. And I'm going to roughly, you could draw it there, or you could come down here a little bit, draw it here. I suppose you could come up here and draw like this. This is a breakout, and if you want to finish the pennant, it would be here. But this is, I think, a strong breakout in Finger. It crossed the 50-day moving average, and it's headed to, I think, the 200-day. I think that's a stopping point. I think this, not a permanent stopping point, but a sort of a resistance would be in here. I think that's resistance on Finger. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying when it gets to let's call it 240, you could see a pause. And you have to be alert that it could come back. After, if it broke through 238, I would say, I mean, this is an obvious point here at 320. I don't know. I would say up here. My eyes go here, right here. I would say if it breaks 230, 240, 238, 240, I'd say it's going to go to 360. That's Finger. And that's just short term. I'm not trying to take away any of the upside targets you might have. But let's look at, what were you asking me? DJT? I honestly forget which one you were asking me. Yeah, DJT. Okay. Let's just look at that. DJT. All right. I'm going to do, yeah, let's just do this a 1 year. We'll just do the 1 year. It's a similar story. I think it broke out here. I think it broke out something like that to my way of thinking. It broke above the 20-day moving average, which had been a little bit of resistance, frankly, for a while, and then it came above it, and that became support. And then the next target was the 200-day moving average. It's broken above that. So that resistance was broken very quickly, and that's become support. But you can see the 20-day moving average crossing right now, crossing the 200-day. That's called, I think it's called a golden cross, but it's a bullish sign that it's crossing. This, I'm not going to do it, but I can see one negative in this pattern, but I don't think it's time to be negative on this. I mean, I might be overanalyzing there, but I think that's another point that becomes support now. But this right here, I know it's already been filled before, but I think this becomes the next target for DJT, 42.5. And after that, I would go over here. And if you want a better analysis, ask Arca or ask Avid. But I'd say 57, 50, or 55. Just come to the top here at 55. So anyway. All right, let me come back. Can you show an example of daily LCID? Yeah, let's see how LCID. I've never heard of LCID, but sure. I'll do it. And then I can't spend forever today. I've got to get off here. LCID. Lucid. Wow. All right. This is the 1 year. I'll stick with the 1 year. With the advantage of I don't know. Lion, I'm trying to create here, but I see a descending wedge. I'll just show you what I see, like this. But I'm trying to connect it up into this other noise. But it broke out. It broke out of that to me, and then pulled back. This is very strong, I think. The 20-day became support as ever. Then the 50-day became support. And I guess the next place it's going to try to go is 290. I don't know what all this sell-off over here was. Was that a toxic financing? I have no idea. This is going to be your difficulty. This is where it's going to be hard to break through. Somewhere in here, 420, 440. That's going to be your tough part. I mean, maybe in here will be some resistance, maybe, but that's kind of a. I don't like that line. I don't know. The way I see this line is this was a very strong breakout down here, very bullish. So 258, 290. It'll get to 3, pull back, hang around 292 for a little while. And, maybe there's some resistance in here. If it breaks 440, I don't know anything about this stock. It'll go a lot higher, but I don't want to. I have no fundamental knowledge of the stock, and I'm not a technician. I read charts for myself, and I share with you how I read them. But I like to like to mix the story with what the chart's telling you. So I'm not technically proficient. Yeah, it's got a huge gap. I believe Ham was saying Finger is going to do a HKD. Yeah, Ham believes Finger is going to do that. And the reason Ham is probably onto something is he watches it every day. He's correct. They have not covered a single share, or very few. It's not like with DJT or with GME or AMC. He watches it, but the only thing I'm different on is I think Finger's under control right now. How strongly, we'll find out. But Yeah, I didn't go back 5 years. I'm not going to, because I have to. I don't want to stay on very long. It was how high? 65. Wow. So why was it down, Lion? Because of a financing or because a battery blew up? I don't know. I'm new. Never invested my dime in my life. Only 3 to 5K to invest. How should I start? um, I can't give financial advice. Um, I don't know your financial situation. I don't know if this is just money you want to, that if you bet it and it went away, you'd lose everything and you'd be okay. You've never invested a dime. What do you mean by invested? We've all invested in things. We invest in our suits. We invest in our education. We invest in our homes, invest in a car, invest in a girlfriend. I mean, that's a setup. Your question is a setup. But to a generic person who had that much money to invest right now, I think I would play rail or buy silver. Just buy silver. Buy gold. It's less volatile. You see the next resistance at 320, and yeah, that's kind of what I saw. XRP and XLM. All right, I'll write down XLM for the next time. Wall Street, not going to be able to do those things with new regulations. Maybe. Okay. Hey, Leanna, how are you doing? I'm going to sign off. What's this? Thank you for giving the chance. You're awesome. I don't know if I'm awesome. My dog is possum. I believe DJT. I'm sorry, I'm leaning in. I can't see out of this eye, so I look like I'm a accountant or something. I believe DJT will squeeze after Trump takes office. You know, one thing I think we should stop trying to do is find a squeeze. I love how Ham is starting to teach you that you can look for a stock if it runs. For example, Nixie went up 100%, I think, in 3 weeks. 100%. It used to take 3 years to see a stock go up 100%. It happens in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Amazing. So Ham's saying, take your original money off the table. You let the rest ride, and you can build a portfolio of several companies for free, maybe. But anyway, I'd like to have less emphasis on trying to precisely pick the next squeeze, because it's very hard. I think there's stocks out there that are going to go up, and I think DJT is $55. I forget what I just told you, but I think I said 57.50. Anyway, something like that. That's a nice move from here. And you don't have to see a squeeze to get that nice move. That's nice of you, Lion. Thank you. I appreciate the positive feedback, but let's just try to make some money. I guess that's a good point. What do you consider a squeeze? That's a good point. Somebody here said that Ham thinks Finger is going to do a TKO, a love TKO, an HKD or something. So I think he was talking about, thousands. It might happen, or DJT. But I think there's chances. The one thing we've learned over the last 2 or 3 years, there's chances to incrementally make money, take money off the table, get on to the next story, and not bet it all on one story. Peace, 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 peace. All right. Letting me look at my notes. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I just have some things to do around the house. Tomorrow I have two, what do you call it? Two doctor's appointments, one for my eye. So I may not come on tomorrow, but if I do, it'll be in the morning or it'll be in the evening. Maybe in the evening. How about that? I'll come on in the evening. We'll see. I'm sure Ham will have a intraday call. But tomorrow, if you're of a mind, I can't give advice, but if you like Rail Town, that's RLAIF, I think tomorrow and the next day. I want to do a video on a company called Next Trip, NTRP. Maybe I'll have time to do that tonight or in the morning. And then I do still like Nix, but I think Nix, we don't want to chase it. I'm confused. It shows so much strength, though. I'll leave it to your own judgment. So anyway, I hope all of you have a good Sunday, and remember to pray for peace worldwide, particularly for the children in the Ukraine, children in the Middle East, and children here in the United States. So I wish you all a good day, and we'll talk tomorrow, I think. Cheers.